All right, back to it now. Look, Donald Trump made a series of promises about taxes. First of all, he wants to keep the Trump tax cuts in place, which most economists seem to think is the right thing to do. Then no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. Possible, not possible, I don't know, is something you say on the campaign trail that you can or cannot do. I don't know. The Fed expected to lower interest rates again today. That's good news, I think, but I'm going to bring in an expert to explain to me. Nick Hopwood joining me, founder and president of Peak Wealth Management, leads a team of certified financial planners, manages over $350 million for their clients. Nick, good to see you again, as always. Post-election now, I've actually had a chance to sleep, so I'm coherent today, different than it's been for a couple of days. Anyhow, all right, so let's start with the Fed cutting rates again. What's the rate right now? What does it mean for people that have credit card debt, an adjustable rate mortgage, that sort of thing? Good news, right?
Well, they should cut 25 basis points today, or 0.25%, as you mentioned. Basically, money markets right now are about 4.7%. So in the next week or so, you could expect those to drop down to about 4.45% if they do cut as expected. But Steve, the credit card rates, the mortgage rates, I wouldn't expect much action based on today's cut alone, because those rates are based on longer dated bonds, which the Fed cannot control.
Right, but when it comes to an adjustable rate mortgage, they adjust once a year. We're headed toward January. We've had some cuts already, so people that have adjustable rate mortgages, which I don't recommend, by the way, try to lock in the best rate possible and hold it. But those rates will be coming down, and they adjust usually once a year after the first of the year. That's good news for mortgage holders, right?
Yeah, but I'll be honest, I don't know anyone who has an adjustable rate mortgage anymore. I don't think any of my clients have any of those. But yes, in theory,
one of them does.
There you go.
One of them does, I can assure you. Anyhow, let's talk about some of the other things on the to-do list. We were just talking about this. If you're looking at ideas that you think would stimulate the economy, and you had a chance to sit with Donald Trump, you said, Mr. President, here's what I think would be a good idea. Here's another good idea. What would be on your to-do list for Donald Trump?
Thank you for asking. This is just such a great opportunity here for the next few years. We know that tax receipts have been up over the last several years, but spending has been up even more. So you mentioned the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security and overtime. Maybe those things could get done. However, we have to cut spending. We just have to. And I don't have a fantasy that we can get to a balanced budget anytime soon, but we have to reduce the deficits from 2 trillion run rates down to, say, 500 billion run rate, like it was under Bush and Obama. I would be happy with that if we could get that done in the next couple of years. And what we have to do is extend those 2017 Trump tax cuts, because they're set to expire in 1 year. Extend the opportunity zones. And if we can do things like that for the budget, I think that our footing will be on a much solid foundation going forward.
One of my pet peeve taxes, and it goes back to when my father died in 2005, and the government came in, the federal government took 47% of what my father had earned over the course of his lifetime. Not a wealthy man, not a poor man, somewhere, he had done reasonable for himself, and the government comes in and gobbles up half of it. Almost. It's like 47% of the federal government took it, and then the state government took a little bite. By the time the smoke clears, less than half of what he had worked for was left to divide among the people that he wanted to have it. And I'm not bitter, because it's ridiculous to me. And so one of the things that I really hate is the death tax, Nick. Could we address that?
Yeah, I don't like it either. And as it stands right now, based on the 2017 Trump tax cuts, the estate tax is the exemption is extremely high, so most Americans are not subject to that. But again, at the end of 25, the tax cuts expire, and so those exemptions are coming way down. I think what they should do is extend those higher exemptions as they did in 2017. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. What other places? We talked about no tax on tips and overtime and Social Security. What about, here's something we talked about in the break, and this is something we talked about previously, you and I. There's $1 trillion that was earmarked or was COVID money that was supposed to be spent that hasn't been spent. And you know how these government agencies work. They hustle, they hurry. Oh, we got to spend all the money, because if we don't, it's going to be taken away from us. Well, you know what? Let it be taken away. Elon Musk is going to come in with his accountability department and figure out what's efficient and what's not. And I certainly hope that happens. Where's our money being spent in government? I think it'd be brilliant. This is a great place for AI to say, no. You don't get to waste that money that way. But what happens to that $1 trillion? What should happen to it?
Well, right now, everyone knows there's no reason to spend any money on COVID. It's over. Forget about it. But that money is still earmarked. So they've been finding other ways to spend it. My idea would be to just cancel it, put it back remove it from the budget, I should say, like it never happened. It doesn't need to be spent. Just because it was approved in 2020 does not mean it needs to be spent. And yes, get Elon in there and cut some fat. You know, we don't need to be hiring 40,000 government workers, new jobs each month. Steve, last month, the total jobs gained for the month were 12,000 for the U.S. And
correct,
40,000 of those were government jobs.
So what you're saying is, without government jobs, we would have lost 28,000 jobs.
Correct.
It's unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. So let's cut the fat. And I do think that, I think that AI is something that makes me both optimistic and concerned at the same time. But this is a place where AI can come in and, analyze, remove waste, get rid of the garbage, stop taking $1 trillion and buying, pet projects. That's what we need to stop doing. You can find Nick Hopwood at peakwm.com, peakwm.com. If you're watching on the stream today on Twitter or anywhere else on Real America's Voice, you take that QR code, click it, you can get in touch with Nick and his professional team. If you need a second opinion, today is the day to do it. Interest rates are coming down. Optimism is going up. Everything looks pretty good. Nick Hopwood, thank you for being here as always, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.